Westminster Abbey, home to the coronation of William the Conqueror in 1066 and the burial place of Chaucer, Dickens and Tennyson. In just a few days it will be under the world's spotlight again as Prince William of Wales marries Catherine Middleton. Theirs is a simple love story, a modern-day romance with a fairy tale ending. As the House of Windsor prepares to welcome a future queen, we look back at where their story began. June 21st, 1982. 7 days after the end of the Falklands conflict, Britain was celebrating, as in St Mary's Hospital, Paddington, a future king was born.
Just a day old and the royal baby is tonight sleeping in his cot at home.
The Prince's first public appearance lasted less than a minute.
What do you think of him then?
Oh, it's wonderful, absolutely fabulous.
Oh, I cried, I couldn't help it.
And we've still no word on the baby's name.
First time I photographed Prince William was when he was less than 24 hours old.
Prince William said his first words in public.
Camera.
Today was Prince William's first day at his new school. It meant putting on a new uniform and facing all those cameras, but the new boy wasn't bothered by any of it.
This was no ordinary life. Even fun days out were scrutinised under the glare of the media spotlight. For William, destiny and duty went hand in hand. With his mother by his side, he embarked on his first official engagement at the tender age of 8. Despite the pressures of royal life, Diana always strived to bring a touch of normality to her children's lives. But in 1997, the unthinkable happened, as William and his family mourned the death of Princess Diana.
I know Kate and her family because they've been coming in here over the last 10 years or so for a drink with their friends, for a meal. I've been here about 15 years, so I've got to know them quite well.
50 miles from London lies the sleepy rural village of Bucklebury, home to the Middletons, William's future in-laws.
The Middletons were like any other family. Everybody knows everybody else.
In 1982, they had their first child, Kate, an ordinary girl destined for greater things.
You'll fall in love with me. Don't marry me. London.
I taught Kate the piano from the age of about 11 to 13. This is the actual piano that she learnt on. I don't think anybody thought she was going to be a great concert pianist or anything like that. But she was always bubbly, always bright, and she came for lessons, and she was always a happy person when she was being taught.
Kate has always been a very, very friendly person, and ever since we've known her, there's been a sort of a radiance about her and an aura that sort of sets her aside from other people.
People don't really talk about a future queen or future princess. They talk about Kate, of course, that she's getting married to William, and that's really great news.
And I think everybody's very excited about the fact that somebody from our little village is going to be a princess and one day queen.
But then perhaps things were always meant to be.
I wish to marry. Only say yes to me.
Yes, so yes, dear William.
So how did this girl from the home counties find herself on the cusp of royalty? Well, it almost started thousands of miles away in South America. In 2000, William decided to take a gap year and work in Chile with charity organisation Rally International.
I set out to Chile in September 2000 and set out and underwent all the staff preparations. We got ready for the venturers to arrive, and then it was announced that Prince William was joining the expedition.
When I first heard that William was coming on expedition to Chile, there was certainly, I felt quite a lot of fear, to be honest with you. You know, did he actually really appreciate what he was about to let himself in for? Yeah. But when I met William, all my fears were completely laid to rest. He was up for it and ready for the challenge.
Take it easy, my child. Ollie,
Ollie, where's Ollie? Have you left your trousers there, or are these mine? Alright.
William wanted to experience real expedition life, so the press were kept under tight control.
It was felt that it probably wasn't suitable for someone with a journalistic background to be on the same expedition as Prince William, so I actually came back to the UK. Ironically, they sent me out on the next expedition, where Catherine Middleton was a member of the expedition.
Kate had missed her prince by just a few weeks.
Kate began 6 weeks after William had left Chile, which is pretty remarkable considering they'd never met before, and they'd both decided to go to the same country on a similar type expedition.
There was a bit of initial buzz about the fact that he'd just been there and they were following in his footsteps and staying in the same accommodation and cleaning the same toilets. But I think most of them got down to the day-to-day business of being on an expedition. It's strange to think that someone you'd spent time with in a bizarre situation in the south of Patagonia could one day be the Queen.
Later that year, William and Kate did meet on the coastline of Scotland at the University of St Andrews.
We were friends for over a year first, and it just sort of blossomed from then on. We just spent more time with each other and had a good giggle, had lots of fun, and realised we shared the same interests and just, you know, had a really good time. She's got a really nice sense of humour, which kind of helps me because I've got a very dead sense of humour. So it was good fun. We had a really good laugh, and then things happened.
In a break from tradition, William chose this ancient Scottish university, surprising everyone, not least of all the new Vice-Chancellor.
I signed a contract, yes, I'll start in January. The people who had been speaking to us said, Brian, there's something else you ought to know. I said, yeah, William's coming. I said, William? Prince William. I said, ah.
The prince's arrival didn't go unnoticed, but the media had agreed to an unprecedented amount of privacy to allow him to further his education.
We've had pictures of William with girls and Harry with girls put on our desk, and the editor said, take them away, I'm not doing it. We gave our word, we will not intrude into them while they're being educated, and he's going to keep it.
We were determined that we were going to give William a normal student life and to give him a preparation for a life that is unimaginable for the rest of us.
But having a prince arrive on campus isn't something that happens every day.
On the Monday morning, came down to breakfast, there was this sense of, oh, who's he going to sit next to, who's he going to talk to? And, you know, then he walks in, you know, by himself with his tray.
That is classic.
I think everyone was very conscious of trying not to suddenly go silent as he walked into the room.
Fellow student Jules Knight from classical boy band Blake met William and Kate at university.
Will and Kate were in St Salvator's Hall, which was one of the best halls to be in, actually, because it was kind of in the centre of town. It wasn't what you'd call plush or five-star accommodation. It was reasonably comfortable.
His father, actually, when he visited before William arrived, tested the bed by bouncing up and down on it and seemed to be satisfied.
I ended up in the room next door to Kate when I was in first year at St Andrews. The first thing that struck me when I met her was just how stunningly attractive she was. The hair was always perfect, just like it is now. She was really noticeably beautiful, and she was nicknamed Beautiful Kate as well in Hall.
Whilst both studying art history, it didn't take William long to notice Beautiful Kate.
When I first met Kate, I knew there was something very special about him, and that I knew that there was possibly something that I wanted to explore there. But we ended up being friends for a while, and that just sort of was a good sort of foundation.
They were within a group of friends of about sort of 7 or 8 people. Kate wasn't famous then. It sort of Will was famous, and Kate was one of us.
I actually went bright red when I met you and sort of scuttled off, feeling very shy about meeting you. But it did take a bit of time for us to get to know each other.
In 2002, a charity fashion show was rumoured to spark a change in William and Kate's friendship.
I would have never guessed that the girl I photographed on the catwalk would later be a princess.
They say that he watched her in a fashion show when she wore this amazing see-through dress, and he was smitten.
Kate looked fantastic. She looked $1 million, and I think people did think, wow, you know, that's because she's quite a shy girl, really. But I think that was a moment of showing her self-confidence. And hey, you know, she's got the body and the looks for it, so why not?
And I did get a phone call from a foreign magazine asking if they could reproduce my iconic image of Kate Middleton, and I'd never heard anybody call it that before, and you know, I was totally overwhelmed. I'd never expected that I'd get a photograph like that in my lifetime.
But, you know, I think it's sort of easy to look back and think, you know, that moment. I mean, obviously at the time, it wasn't really that moment to us. It was just like one of your friends up there, and obviously Kate has become the most famous woman in the world, and so extra significance has been put on this moment.
When he was here, he was always in the area, and you could be walking in the supermarket with your trolley and he'd be walking down the next aisle with his trolley. So in a way, the locals all got used to seeing him in the area. It's only now we realise, you know, that was our future king that was actually walking down here and in for fish and chips as well.
He did get a bit more freedom than perhaps he would have got at another university, because the media did leave him alone. They did back off, and so he did have a certain amount of freedom to walk around. He was left to get on, you know, with his lectures and his daily life and his social life in relative freedom.
In the second year of university, William and Kate became flatmates in a shared student house.
I lived in 11 Hope Street, and Will and Kate were in 13. The people they lived with were very close friends of mine, and so we were always in and out of one another's houses, because actually, again, there wasn't that much to do, and so you'd have a lot of dinner parties and tea and lunch and all that kind of stuff.
Actually, you did cook for me quite a bit at university, and it would always come with a bit of angst and a bit of anger if something had gone wrong, and I'd have to wander in and save something that was going.
I would say I'm getting better at cooking. Kate would say I'm getting a lot worse.
I didn't give you enough chance to practice, though, maybe.
No, that is true. I get quite lazy about cooking, because, you know, when I come back from work and stuff, it's the last thing I want to do, really, is spend loads of time cooking. But when I was trying to impress Kate, I was trying to cook these amazing, fancy dinners. It sort of blossomed from there, really. We just saw more of each other, you know, hung out a bit more and did stuff. So, yeah.
Their friendship grew, obviously, from you know, being great mates into a romantic relationship.
As the relationship developed, it wasn't long before the word got out.
They were photographed kissing on the slopes. I think it was in Cloisters, and so I think then she sort of came onto everyone's radar that they were actually a serious couple.
I didn't take the picture, paparazzi took the picture, but it's of great general interest because, you know, William is second in line to the throne, and therefore whoever he marries is going to be a queen.
Catherine Middleton.
Kate Middleton was now hot property, and at their graduation the cameras weren't just focused on William.
Graduation day, that's really when the bubble burst for us. I remember very distinctly walking out of my graduation ceremony, and it was just a sort of bank of photographers, 150, 200 photographers all taking photos. And I think, you know, they did go up to some students and say, oh, well, I'll clear your student debt if you sell your stories or whatever.
And I say every year, and you may have met your future spouse. Now, when William and Kate graduated, I went out of my way to say, and I say this every year.
We're at the graduation ball. I remember seeing William pinch Kate's bottom when they were standing at the bar, that kind of thing, and they were, you know, I think at that stage, like dancing together and being much more coupley.
Obviously, my hope was that they would eventually do the right thing by one another. But it's very, very satisfying to see your students move on into adult life.
Away from the sanctity of St Andrews, they embarked on their separate working lives. For William, this meant training in the armed forces. Alongside his military duties, he also followed in his mother's footsteps by actively involving himself in his many charities.
A royal reporter for the day. This is Alice Marples, who's 10.
She's a patient at the Royal Marsden Hospital, where she's being treated for cancer.
Tonight I'm going to be interviewing Prince Harry.
Brilliant. Brilliant, Alice. That is a keeper. That is a keeper.
Like his mother, he threw himself into his work with his heart and soul.
And I just asked him to go and sleep on a pavement in the centre of London. So I was indeed surprised, even though I shouldn't have been, that he said yes. Straight away. Straight away. That's it. He didn't say, let me think about it. He didn't say, I'll come back to you. He didn't say any of that stuff. He didn't say, call me tomorrow. He said, yes, straight away, I'll do it. Evening came. We knew it was going to be very cold. It was. So we found some wheelie bins. We used the wheelie bins to shield ourselves a little bit. We put our cardboards down and we slept the night. We didn't have an army of security. They didn't want any publicity about it at all. People have asked me, surely there must be security roundabout in the corner. There wasn't anything like that at all. And maybe there wasn't even a need for any of that, because frankly, who's expecting to see Prince William sleeping rough?
Meanwhile, working as an accessories buyer for Jigsaw, Kate was adjusting to London life. But, as the girlfriend of a prince, that life was becoming more complicated.
When Kate left university, she was suddenly faced with a lot of press intrusion, and I think that's quite difficult for any individual.
She's got to expect some photos to be taken if she's out in public, if it's a birthday like today.
I think that was a big shift for her because it didn't have that cocoon of being up in St Andrews and having the agreement with the press, because they had been pretty much left to themselves when they were studying for those 4 years.
If you're not experienced in dealing with the media, I think that can be quite a challenge.
Very good night, Kate.
And she seemed to deal with it very well.
You never saw a picture of her looking aggressive, looking cross. She always managed to smile. She was incredibly poised.
I would say she has a right to expect the rest of the day to herself, unless she chooses to go to a public place later on in the day.
The outside world was unaware that a big announcement was imminent.
Prince William and his long-term girlfriend Kate Middleton have split up. The couple, who met at university 6 years ago, had faced huge public and media interest in their relationship.
We've had the announcement, fine. They should be left alone now, without reams of stuff being written that I can assure you from my experience are all stories, most of which will be complete nonsense.
At the time, I thought it was permanent. You know, I think the relationship was too strong, and at the time I thought, well, you know, he's never going to be able to form a relationship with a girl like he did with Kate in that totally perfect time as an undergraduate at university.
Wasn't very happy about it, but actually it made me a stronger person. You find out things about yourself that maybe you hadn't realised, or I think you can get quite consumed by a relationship when you're younger, and you know, I really valued that time for me as well, although I didn't think it at the time. Looking back on it,
As a chance to re-centre yourself.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
You know, we were both very young. It was at university, and we were sort of both finding ourselves as such and being, you know, different characters and stuff. It was very much trying to find our own way, and we were growing up, and so it was just sort of, you know, a bit of space and a bit of things like that, and it soon worked out for the better.
The split was only temporary. Within months, rumours were circulating that Kate and William were back together.
We picked ourselves up and carried on, and we, you know, from where you had, you know, the odd problem when you were first getting to know each other, those have all gone, and it's just really easy with being with each other, and it's really fun, and I'm obviously extremely funny, and she loves that, so it's really good.
You know, obviously William couldn't live without her, and now they're getting married.
And a royal marriage is big news, with more than 100 cameras capturing the images that will be seen by an estimated global audience of 2 billion people. So when the couple announced their engagement last November, it was done in front of the world's media.
It was about 3 weeks ago on holiday in Kenya. We had a little private time away together with some friends, and I just decided that it was the right time, really, and proposed.
It was a total shock when it came, and very excited.
Did you ask Kate's dad, and what did he say, and what did your respective parents say when you told them?
Well, I was torn between asking Kate's dad first, and then the realisation that he might actually say no dawned upon me. So I thought, if I ask Kate first, then he can't really say no.
They kept it to themselves for several weeks before telling anybody.
He was determined to keep it a secret until they decided that the world should know. Nobody was going to get any exclusives, and William's like that. William likes to keep things very close to his chest.
And then they gave the courtiers, I think, 2 or 3 hours' notice.
We had a little talk before, and he even said he even phoned the Queen that morning to tell her he was going to announce his engagement that day. They were just so comfortable with each other, you know. She looked $1 million. She had a fabulous dress, and her hair looked wonderful. Of course, she was wearing this great ring, which she was showing everybody at every opportunity.
I'd been carrying it around with me in my rucksack for about 3 weeks before that, and I literally would not let it go. Everywhere I went, I was keeping hold of it, because I knew this thing, if it disappeared, I'd be in a lot of trouble. It's my mother's engagement ring. Obviously, she's not going to be around to share any of the fun and excitement of it all. This is my way of keeping her sort of close to it all.
That was a wonderful gesture, and, you know, Kate Middleton never met Diana, and obviously William's told her everything about her. He's told her the things none of us know. And all the fun things people would do with their mum. But, you know, wearing that ring every day, as she looks at that, she'll think that one of the most famous women in the world wore that ring. And she should be proud to be wearing that ring, and I'm sure she is.
I just hope I look after it.
She loses,
but no,
she's in big trouble.
it's very, very special.
I'd just like to say that Carol and I are absolutely delighted by today's announcement and thrilled at the prospect of a wedding sometime next year.
Good evening. There is nothing quite like a royal wedding to perk up spirits in the British Isles.
Του πρίγκιπα William με την αγαπημένη του Kate Middleton.
The biggest royal marriage since William's parents' time.
They're young, they're in love, and they look fine.
The appetite in America is insatiable for this story.
And Matt's been giggling non-stop since the announcement.
A major break in tradition.
The king in waiting finally popped the question. Fairy tale come true, isn't it? The commoner meets the prince.
Thousands of people have been flooding the blogosphere with real-time reaction to news of an upcoming royal wedding.
With the engagement public knowledge, William still had his day job to do, and for the future king, that meant representing his country on the world stage.
Thank you very much. When we were on our failed mission to win the World Cup for Britain, we had lots of conversations. He's got a brilliant sense of humour, a very good sense of fun. He's not at all grand or anything like that.
Yeah, he did his utmost to try and bring it home. It wasn't just, yes, I'll help and do a little bit of this and a little bit of glad handing and that sort of thing. He actually threw himself into it, heart and soul.
It sent some really, really important messages. Actually, what was very clear from somebody who was observing that he's clearly a team player.
As part of the new royal team, Kate undertook her first official engagement in Anglesey, launching a lifeboat for the RNLI. All eyes were on the bride-to-be.
We've got hundreds of photos of the event, and there isn't one bad photograph of her. It doesn't matter whether she's looking away, looking at the camera. It's brilliant, really elegant.
They sung the Welsh national anthem, didn't they?
Yeah, she did, yeah, bless her. Yeah.
Done very well in that.
She probably did a better job than we did, yeah.
Yes.
You do that, I can't do it. I did the talking bit, she's going to do the fun bit. It now gives us great pleasure to name this new lifeboat Hereford Endeavour. May God bless her and all that sail in her.
I think Hamilton did fantastic on the first royal engagement.
I tried to give him a business card, to be honest with you, because he only lives down the road here. I'm a plumbing and heating engineer. I tried to give him a card.
With the soon-to-be-married couple setting up home in Anglesey, William will continue to juggle his royal life with flying helicopters and saving lives.
Yeah, I think he wants to get stuck in, just like the rest of us. I'm not sure he's too keen on the paperwork, just like the rest of us. He just wants to fly.
He certainly never shies away from the difficult duties. Anything that needs attending to, he's there at the front. I always want to lead from the front and get stuck into sometimes the more menial tasks as well.
I think what William and others of the younger generation are trying to do is be true to themselves. So they're not just, in quotes, manufactured royals who just perform. They're actually trying to do their duty, but also be true to themselves and bring something of themselves into that role. I think William and Catherine are trying to do that.
What am I doing? Have I got anywhere near the end?
Months of planning are about to come to fruition as the country gets ready to celebrate the royal couple's big day.
I expect it to be a pretty joyous day, a lot of celebration, and people taking the opportunity to have some fun. I think I said to him that the thing I learned was just never argue with your mother-in-law. But no, I'm sure he doesn't need any advice from me.
They've invited 1,900 people to this wedding. We, people from Centrepoint, got a number of those invites. That's because we matter to him.
We are all going to the wedding. My wife rang me at 11:15 last night to talk about our hats.
We should celebrate with them. Didn't get an invite.
I'm going to have to take a handkerchief with me. I must remember that because it's going to be quite an emotional day. I'm just looking forward to her and her dad walking down the aisle. That'd be great. That'd be great just to watch Mike take his daughter down the aisle. It'd be something special.
Kate and William's romance has captivated the hearts and minds of the world. And as the future king prepares to marry his future queen, the next chapter in their love story is only days away.